Hey guys, it's Merlini with an anticipated episode of Merlini's Mailbag, and unfortunately I haven't been able to make too many of these since I've been very busy casting amongst other things. But getting right to it, this will be episode 29. The topic for this one is ranked matchmaking. And this week's question was submitted by Dean. As someone who played a lot of invite-only ranked Dota leagues, what is your opinion on the incoming ranked matchmaking? I am worried that ranked matchmaking will actually hurt Dota 2. People will play casual matchmaking less seriously, reducing the overall quality of games. Not to mention the host of problems associated with rank queues in other games, such as ladder anxiety, EP and SS are bad, etc. So getting right to it, Valve's blog post was released on December 6th, so just 5 days ago, and it was titled Matchmaking. The link is here if you want to check the official post by Valve's Dota 2, and I will put that in the YouTube description. So here we have facts. These aren't speculation, this is directly from Valve. Each person already has their own hidden matchmaking, and ranked matchmaking will simply make it visible. So a lot of people think that this is a whole entire new thing, and it's really not. It just kind of pulls your MMR from what you should have played in your regular matchmaking, and then makes it visible, and compared to the other pool of players in ranked matchmaking, which will be a little bit different than the unranked, but still it should be fairly close, your hidden MMR from your current unranked into your ranked. Ranked matchmaking will approximately be unlocked after 150 games, and this makes smurfing nearly impossible. 150 games is a hell of a time commitment. And only 3 modes will be available, all pick, Captain's Mode, and Captain's Draft, and these are the pretty serious and very fair modes. Unranked and ranked matchmaking rating will be independent, so that's pretty important too. So if you just want a casual game, or if you're just really tired and don't really want it to affect your rating, you can always play unranked matchmaking, so it's not something that everyone is forced to play. And generally the more competitive and experienced players will opt for ranked matchmaking. And your ranked matchmaking is only visible to you and your friends, so people can't always talk smack to you, and that is a pretty big benefit. And current MMR percentiles is actually positively skewed. It's not a normal distribution for the bell curve. If you look at the 50%, half the people are below 2250, half the people are above 2250, but we see the 5% to 50%, which is 45% of players in this 1150 range. 1100 to 2250, so that width is 1150, and from the 50% to 95%, so taking the top 45%, well, not exactly top 45%, but the upper, it's a range of 1650. So 1150, 1650, you can definitely tell that a lot more people are clumped in that 1100 to 2250 range. So 50% line is about here, 5% is about here, and 4100 is like all the way out here. So this, I don't think that this should change too much into when it translates into ranked matchmaking. It may. Valve said that, oh, we don't really know how it's going to stack up, so this isn't something that you should take like with as set in stone, but it definitely should be a pretty good guideline of where you stand once you actually figure out your ranked matchmaking rating. And that should happen, I think, after about 10 games in ranked MMR, because it said that it needs a few games to actually determine your matchmaking rating, even though they already have your hidden matchmaking rating. So again, it is positively skewed, somewhat normal distribution, but again, most of the players are towards the left side of the curve. And more facts. There are different MMRs for solo queue and party queue, so that means we have 4 total different MMRs: unranked solo, unranked party, ranked solo, and ranked party. Also, hidden MMR has an uncertainty curve. They just dubbed it uncertainty, but I assume it's very similar to what Blizzard has for StarCraft, and this was actually taken from Team Liquid forum. So your MMR, let's say this is just like 2200 or something like that. If you just play 10 games, which is very early on, which is I think the earliest available, you can actually see your ranked matchmaking rating. You're still going to have a pretty high deviation of skill, because Valve doesn't actually know where you lie within this pretty broad range. After you play like 1,000 games, they can narrow that uncertainty curve and make it like very thin, maybe like 10% of what this is right now. And playing more games and having match outcomes equal predicted match outcomes will decrease the uncertainty curve with. So if you upset like a team with an average matchmaking rating way higher than you, then your MMR will be bumped up and your deviation of skill will be bumped up, because Valve is like, well, wow, I didn't expect you to win that. We probably misplaced your MMR because you should have lost that match, and it will change. But again, this uncertainty curve is hidden to you. But generally, as you play more games and as your win rate settles to 50, then your uncertainty curve with will decrease. And if you're on like a huge win streak or a huge lose streak, your uncertainty curve with should theoretically increase pending how many games you've played. So effects of rank play, people generally tend to be more serious and try hard, which can lead to either a more toxic environment or more cooperative. It's supposed to be cooperative, not cooperate. And I've played in ranked leagues for a very, very long time. My first one was a league called IHL, which was a North American league back in 2006. So I've known about rank play for a long time, and there are these bots. They probably don't have the same algorithm. They definitely don't have the same algorithm that Valve has, but it probably still is a decent algorithm. And even like IX Mike has his own league right now, IXDL and NEL and EEL, and there's been so many leagues in between IHL and the current NEL that it's fairly predictable as to how the environment, how people are actually going to react. And there's been other games too. Heroes of New Earth has visible matchmaking rating. I believe LOL has something similar, but I'm not too positive on that. So yeah, you can either have a more toxic environment where people are like, "Oh, MG, you're such a noob, you're scum, go play support," or people can be like, "Wow, this guy's much better than me, I better listen to him," or they can be like, "Well, I really want to win, so I'll be more cooperative instead of just off doing my own thing," which will probably lead to a greater chance of us losing. So a lot of people focus on a negative, but I definitely think there are positives. And players can track improvement concretely. And that's a very important thing, because it's very difficult to tell how you're improving in Dota, because each game is different. You're playing with different players. Almost every single game you're playing different heroes. There's different situations, and it's very difficult to tell, like, oh, my CS at this mark is this much, but in this game it was this much. Does that mean I'm improving? My opponents were better, I was against a different lane. It's very difficult to tell, and people always ask me, oh, what's a good benchmark for this? And I always say it depends, because it always depends on the strength of your opponents, the strength of your supports, what hero you are, and there's just so many different factors in Dota that it's very difficult to track your improvement concretely. And now with rank play coming in soon, you will be able to see that, and you can be like, wow, I improved like 100 matchmaking rating over the past few days or the past few weeks, or playing with this guy who teaches me a lot, or playing with this support who works really well with me, and that is a big benefit. Also, unranked play is likely to be a lot less serious for players. It's more for picking fun / unusual heroes, playing with new friends, or friends who are new to the game rather, and just a more casual environment. So some people may not like that, because for whatever reason, some people may like that. So these are some of the effects that I thought of. Also, I like introduced some friends to like the rank play in the rank league, and some friends just like straight quit. They thought it was way too toxic environment. So definitely there is a negative effect, and it probably will just be extremely toxic to some players, and it may ruin the game for some players. But in general, I think it's a very small minority of players, and most people will be fairly receptive to it. And I think it's overall very big benefit to the Dota 2 community. Also, it's easier to identify extremely good players rather than, hey, I notice you occasionally play on the front page of the live games tab. You may be good, but I don't really know. And now, if you just friend them, you should be able to see their matchmaking rating, and it should just be really easy, because if Dendi or whatever really high player is at like 4100, and there's this random player that you never heard of that's also 4100, you know that he's really good, and there's almost no question about it, as opposed to, hey, well, maybe he was on like Dendi's party and got invited and just matched up against good players, because that's how the matchmaking algorithm works. If you have a really good player in your party and a really bad player, it'll match up closer to the really good players' matchmaking rating. So there's a lot less uncertainty there, and it'll be a lot easier for people to recognize really good players. Like Admiral Bulldog got noticed in a pub, and people ask me that all the time. Oh, how do I get play with really good players. And now it's just like, hey, well, just bump up your matchmaking rating and people will notice you. Also, players may encounter ladder anxiety and be less incentivized to play ranked games because it's just so stressful when you have a number associated with how good you are. And a lot of people don't like that pressure. Like, well, if I lose this game, I'm gonna drop to this area, my friends are at this area, or I think I should be at this area, and it just messes with a lot of people's head, and that's unfortunately a negative effect. More players will be playing Captain's Draft and Captain's Mode instead of all pick. And this should replace team matchmaking in a sort of way, just because when you search for team matchmaking, you only search for other people that play team matchmaking, and when you search for rank play, you'll only search for people that play rank play. But rank play, I think, will have a much larger pool than people that are searching for TMM, because you're going to need 5 players all the time for TMM, but you can still play in that somewhat serious environment of Captain's Draft and Captain's Mode. I myself prefer Captain's Draft a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of the opposition is not very good, because a lot of people just play AP all the time, which I find extremely tedious and boring. So I speculate that Captain's Draft and Captain's Mode will be played more, and that's very good thing for me, especially since I think those modes are both very fair. Also, there may be longer queue times, because instead of everyone being in the normal matchmaking pool now, there's going to be split into unranked and ranked. So there's going to be strictly less players searching than now, unless there are more players that play Dota. But outside of confounding variables, it should be longer queue times, unless they change the algorithm a little bit. I do know that they did want to keep wait times appropriate, and that was one of the goals that Valve stated. So I've had 20-30 minute queues sometimes, and that is just inhibitively long, and I can't play Dota when I play one game every hour and a half, and I'm spending a half or a third of that time searching. So that's just ridiculous. So I hope that longer queue times isn't that big a problem, but as the player pool increases, it should be getting better. Overall, I think it's a very positive thing. You can track your progress, you can play in a more serious environment, you can be more competitive, because Dota is a competitive game at heart. You want to win all the time, and yeah, having fun is very important, but a lot of people have fun by winning. So I will be looking forward to it. I will almost certainly be streaming ranked matchmaking exclusively when I will be playing. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. And if you have any questions regarding Dota or things happening regarding Dota, you can email me at mailbag@MerliniDota.com. Thank you guys for watching. I will hopefully be making another one next week if I'm not too busy with casting. Thank you guys very much.